A vernacular language is the native or everyday language spoken by ordinary people in a specific region or community. It's often informal, may include slang or regional dialects, and is typically learned naturally at home. On the other hand, a standard language is the official codified version of a language. It's used in formal settings like education, government, and media, and follows strict grammar and spelling rules. It is usually based on the dialect of a socially or politically dominant group. Let's compare some key features of both types. Formality. Vernacular language is informal and conversational, while standard language is more formal and official. Usage. Vernacular is used in daily speech and within local communities. Standard language is used in schools, government, and professional settings. Structure. Vernacular may not follow strict rules, while standard language has a fixed grammar, vocabulary, and spelling system. Perception. Vernacular is sometimes seen as less prestigious. In contrast, standard language is often considered more correct or proper. Learning. Vernacular is acquired naturally at home, while standard language is learned through formal education. Here are some examples to show the difference. Vernacular languages. African American Vernacular English, we say, heavy working every day. Kelantanese Malay, demo wak gapo situ, which means, what are you doing there? Singlish Singapore, can lah. For standard languages, standard American English, we say, he works there, he works every day. For standard Malay, awak buat apa di situ? Standard British English, what are you doing there? These examples show how the same meaning can be expressed differently depending on the language variety used. Each language variety plays an important role in society. Vernacular language. First, it helps express cultural identity, values, and traditions. It also builds a sense of belonging and community. It's often used in informal communication like chatting, storytelling, or local performances. For standard language, it supports education and literacy as it's the medium used in schools. It also promotes nation building by unifying people across different regions. Lastly, it's essential in professional contexts such as academic writing, job interviews, and legal or government documents.
Franca is a language used for communication between people who do not share a native language. It acts as a bridge to help people from different language backgrounds understand one another. For example, English, Arabic, and French are often used in international settings, even if they are not the first language of the speakers. Lingua franca are common in education, trade, religion, politics, and even in casual conversation. So why do we need a lingua franca? In situations where people speak different languages, using a shared second language makes communication smoother and more efficient. For example, at international conferences, English or French is often used. In religious gatherings, classical Arabic or Latin might be used. Even in local communities with many languages, a single lingua franca helps maintain unity and understanding. Here's a real example. In the 1960s, a nun named Sister Dominic was in Rome and lost her purse. She couldn't speak Italian well and the police couldn't understand her. A Brazilian priest came to help, but he didn't speak her language either. So they used Latin, the shared language of the Catholic Church, to communicate. This is a perfect example of how a lingua franca was used as a bridge between people from totally different language backgrounds. And in the Amazon region on the border of Colombia and Brazil, a girl named Tuca lives in a multilingual community. She speaks Tuyuca, Spanish, and other local languages, but when she visits other villages or participates in rituals, everyone uses Tucano, the regional lingua franca. Even though it's not everyone's mother tongue, it allows people to communicate across language boundaries. Thus, lingua francas exist all around the world. For example, Swahili is widely used in East Africa, especially in Tanzania, Hausa is a marketplace language in West Africa. Tok Pisin, originally a pidgin, became a national language in Papua New Guinea. Classical Arabic is used across the Arab world, especially in religion, and Russian was used in the former Soviet Union as an official language. These examples show how lingua francas play an important role globally. Now let's look briefly at pidgins. A pidgin is a simplified language that develops when people from different language groups need to communicate, often for trade. Pidgins usually have no native speakers and are very basic at first. However, over time, a pidgin can become more complex and even turn into a full language. For example, Tok Pisin started as a trade pidgin but later became a national language. And one of the key characteristics of pidgins is their simplified structure. Because they arise out of necessity for basic communication, they typically have a smaller vocabulary and a simpler syntax compared to established languages. So why they emerge? First of all, because of the need for communication. Pidgin develops out of necessity when people lack a common language, and often this happened in tough times like slavery, where people from different language groups had to find a way to connect. And simple trade also pushed pidgins to develop, as it is a basic language for buying and selling. Not to mention, pidgins frequently occur in situations where the people involved, such as colonizers and colonized, slave trafficker and enslaved, have different social authority.
So when people hear the word pidgin, their reactions can be very different. Some see it as a useful tool for communications, while others view it negatively. So let's explore the different attitudes towards pidgin languages. So to begin with, pidgins have often been misunderstood and looked down upon. They are sometimes considered as broken or corrupted versions of established language like English or French. Many people associate pidgins with a lack of formal education or low social status, assuming that speakers are uneducated or less intelligent. Because of their simplified grammar and vocabulary, pidgins are also wrongly seen as inferior, incomplete, or even incorrect languages. But there's another side to the story. Pidgin can be incredibly valuable and creative. They are appreciated for their simplicity, flexibility, and effectiveness in helping people from different language backgrounds communicate. Linguists often study pidgins because they show how new languages can form and evolve naturally. In many communities, pidgins are spoken with pride. They are seen as powerful symbols of cultural identity and resilience, and most importantly, pidgins are not just broken language. They are inventive solutions that people created to overcome communications barriers. So, what happens when a pidgin becomes more than just a simple tool for communications? A creole develops when a pidgin turns into the first language of a community, especially when it starts being used among children in the next generations. As these children are born into pidgin-speaking communities, they learn the pidgin as their mother tongue, but they don't just copy it, they naturally begin to elaborate and enrich the language. So this kid add complexity by creating consistent grammar rules, inventing new words, and expanding the language ability to express abstract ideas and emotional thoughts. So this natural process is known as nativization. Through it, the simple limited pidgin transformed into a creole, a full, stable, and rich language with native speakers. So creoles are no longer restricted to basic communications. They can now be used in all areas of life, from education and storytelling to government and media.
Structure feature. First, tense and aspect marking. Creoles do develop ways of systematically signaling meanings such as verb tense, and these may develop into inflections or affixes over time, unlike pidgin language which do not use affixes to signal meanings. For example, from this example, we can see that the present tense uses basic verbs, and been shows the verb is past tense, while the suffix bad that is attached to the verb indicates continuous tense. So when we want to convert it to past continuous, we should add both been and bad. Next, future tense development. Creoles also demonstrate evolution in the marking of the future tense from more extended phrases to more compact form. This is illustrated by example A, bum by you go. As the peasant developed into a Creole, the adverb bum by becomes shortened to bum by or by, as seen in B and C. Next, D shows an alternative position for by, and E shows how it becomes prefix to the verb as a regular prefix marking future tense. The meaning is expressed more concisely and less obviously, which is a common outcome. Next, influence from substrate language. When a pidgin develops into a Creole, it often picks up grammar rules from those local languages spoken in the community. These local languages are referred to as a substrate. The lexifier, on the other hand, is where the most of the vocabulary originates from, like English in the case of Tok Pisin. Tok Pisin is a Creole language spoken in Papua New Guinea, and Tok Pisin has two words for we, while in English there is only one word for we, which is no difference whether the person you are talking to is included or not. Regular word formation. Pidgins become more structurally regular as they undergo creolization, which is the process by which pidgins become Creole. Can you see the pattern in the table? We add im to the describing word to make it a verb. So once you recognize the pattern, it is possible to form new words in the Creole language and to guess the English translation. If you know that the Tok Pisin word for hot was had, you could predict the word meaning to make hot or to heat would be hatim. You can similarly guess that the English word missing from the list in the table is to dirty or make dirty. Here is some exercise that you could try to see if you can guess the translation. For example, in this exercise, we can see that grass is grass. Next, mouse grass is mustache. It is like a grass on the mouth, like a riddle. What grass on the mouth? So it is a mustache. Next, grass belong face. It means like what grass belong or on the face. So it is beard. Next, grass belong head. It means like what grass belongs or on the head. So it is hair. Same goes to other examples, and this is how we can guess the translation. Next, functions. First, politics like debates, speech, government use like in Papua New Guinea. Next, education. It is used for the first 3 years of education in many schools. Next, administration like tax forms, office work, and in literature like books, poetry, even translation of Shakespeare. And next, everyday life just like English and French.
Now, let's look at the attitudes toward Creoles. First, let's talk about the people who speak Creoles. Many Creole speakers are proud of their language. It helps them express emotion and cultural identity. For example, in Haiti, people use Haitian Creole to connect with their feelings, even though French is seen as more formal. In Papua New Guinea, Tok Pisin is not only used in daily life, but also in schools and even parliament. But at the same time, outsiders often misunderstood Creoles, something that they are broken or childish version of English or French. This view is unfair because Creoles are full languages with their own grammar and structure. Sadly, these negative stereotypes still exist in these societies. Next is the origins of Creoles. How do Creoles form? Creoles usually develop in places where many languages are spoken together, like slave plantations or trading colonies. These areas had people from different language backgrounds, and they needed a way to talk to each other. More Creoles are based on a European language called a lexifier, like English, French, or Portuguese. They also mix with local or African languages called substrates. There are over 100 Creoles today, and most are based on just 7 European languages. Even though they form in different parts of the world, many Creoles have similar grammar and often more simplified compared to standard languages. The next one, we have something called decreolization. This happens when Creole speakers are also exposed to the standard language, like English or French. Over time, they might start mixing features of both, and the Creole slowly change to become more like the standard. This creates what called a post-Creole continuum. Imagine a range of speech styles from the deep original form of the Creole called Basilic to a more standard-like version called Actrolec, with mixed version in between. For example, in Jamaica, people often switch between Jamaican Creole and Standard English depending on the situation. Finally, let's talk about how Creoles can die out. Like many minority languages, Creoles can disappear if people stop using them, especially younger generations. This usually happens when the Creole is seen as low status, it's not taught in school or used in the media, or people choose to speak a more powerful language like English. When a Creole loses its function in daily life, it starts shrinking. Few words, less grammar, and eventually it may disappear completely. This is why it is important to support and preserve Creole languages where possible, especially as they hold so much cultural value.